One thing every successful individual, leader, and entrepreneur have in common is a consistent morning routine. Having a simple, easy to implement routine enables you to start your day with a sense of purpose, accomplishment, clarity, and direction. For this reason, I have prepared for you a free guide with an easy to follow 5 minutes morning routine and a tracking template where you can document your progress day by day. I've been receiving messages from some of you already telling me how this habit has transformed your days for the better. Download this 5 minutes morning routine right now by clicking the link on my show notes so you can start your day on purpose. Welcome to another episode of With Clarity and Purpose podcast. And today I'm gonna answer a question that I get often from my coaching clients, from those who are not my clients but are deeply involved in the personal development journey. And the question is, when I'm making decisions or discerning between one option or another one, how do I know if it's my gut telling me to do something or if it's my baggage? If I'm projecting this from the past or is this something that just feels right for me? Is it intuition or is it baggage? And this is a really important question to answer, because if you're tuning into this podcast, you're someone who are seeking to grow, who are seeking to evolve into a better and more authentic and aligned version of yourself. The more you align with who you really are, the more impact you can create in the society, the more positive impact you can create within yourself and also with everyone else around you. To be in alignment and to create impact, we need to make decisions that are congruent with our values, are congruent with the version of us that we are pursuing, the ideal version of us. Whatever that is for you is different for every person. That is why knowing if it's intuition or baggage is so important, because the more you understand this, the more you understand yourself. The more you understand yourself, the more you can align at the deepest level of the version who you want to be, right? And the more you align to your goals and dreams, the more impact you can create outside of you. So that's why it's so important to understand if the driver or motivation of your decisions, if it's baggage or if it's intuition. Because, this makes me think also of the unconscious bias trainings that we used to take when I was in corporate at all times. There are many biases we have. There are many filters. Each one of us, we go through our own reality. My reality is only real for me. Your reality is only real for you, because we all have filters. We all have different perceptions. We all have had different experiences. And based on our experiences, beliefs, and values, we filter the outside world and then we create a meaning out of it. That's why it's so important, because the more you align with what feels right for you, which is your intuition, the highest potential you can achieve in this world. So let's talk a little bit more about what is baggage versus what is intuition. And then we are going to go into the how-to of how do you know if it's baggage or intuition. And of course, I'm going to illustrate it with an example, a real life example, as always. Now, when we talk about baggage a lot of times are past negative experiences that we are projecting into our present or into the future. For example, if you had a negative experience with a male or a female in your relationship, expect, for example, someone cheated on you, and I always put this example for whatever reason. But if someone cheated on you on a romantic relationship, and in every relationship that you go in, you are just projecting this insecurity into that person, of course, that is not intuition, that is baggage, because you're entering insecure already. You haven't healed from that past relationship, and you're taking that past experience and how bad it was, and you're projecting it into the present relationship and in future relationships too if you don't take care of it. So that's baggage, and a lot of times it is reflected in our lives in forms of negative emotions and limiting belief. You know you have baggage whenever you're projecting your past experiences into your present and your future. That is baggage. You also know you have baggage whenever your response to a certain situation is out of proportion to what's actually happening. When you experience a level of intensity that it is really hard to control. You just feel your chest and everything within you just lighting up. When you're triggered, that is baggage, and it feels heavy. It feels like something is taking over you. And that thing is emotions, beliefs, is everything you have lived in the past that you are now projecting into the present, but in some way that your body already believes that is happening, even though it's not happening at all. Your body immediately believes that it's in the past and it's happening again. Most of our subconscious programming is actually being stored in our body. So the body has become the master and the mind has become the servant. A lot of the personal development work is to start programming your body and mind to be in alignment, and actually your mind to lead your body. That's why even if you're new to meditation and you're trying to meditate for 5 minutes, it feels so hard because your body is used to running the programming. Your body is telling you, my back hurts, you're supposed to do something, there are a million things we haven't done. That's your body that wants to move. But part of practicing being in control is your mind telling your body, just like training a dog, honestly, your mind telling your body, stay there. We are going to sit here for 5 minutes and everything is going to be all right. Because if you focus on the present, you're all right already, right? So it's this practice of starting to master your body, which is your subconscious programming many times. And that's what baggage is. Now, intuition, I have a podcast episode on intuition only, but intuition is this download that you get that moves you into a positive direction, that moves you into a desire that you have, and it feels right and it feels light. The podcast episode on demystifying intuition, it also explains how intuition is just not necessarily this mystical woo-woo experience. It is very related also to your past experiences, but with a lens of wisdom, with the lens of, I've learned this without any emotional intensity, and let's use this wisdom to move forward in a positive direction. So intuition is all about wisdom. Baggage is all about a negative intensity that makes you respond out of proportion to situations. It's reactive. Intuition is proactive. Baggage is very reactive. And when you're making decisions out of baggage, you're usually trying to move away from something, and your mindset is usually a fear-driven mindset. You're operating out of scarcity, out of survival mode. And your mind and your body, if you observe them, if you decide to stay into awareness within yourself, you're gonna realize that quickly because it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel right. Baggage, as I mentioned, it's also you feel a lot of intensity and negativity, because it's that fear and that survival mode just kicking in, thinking that whatever happened in the past that was an undesired outcome is going to happen again. And you're just trying to react and figuring things out. But your mind is believing that something is happening that is not. You're projecting the past into the present and future, as I mentioned. That is when you know that it's baggage. It just feels heavy. It doesn't feel right. Now, intuition, in the opposite end, it feels like an inner knowing that you don't necessarily have an analytical explanation, that you don't think about, oh, because this happened in the past, it's going to happen again. Intuition is something that moves you into a direction that is compelling and that is one that you desire. It feels positive and it feels in alignment within yourself. It is also out of an abundance mindset, a mindset of possibilities and love. That's what intuition is. Just knowing that something is right or not right, but you don't have an explanation to it, okay? Now, I don't want you to get confused with your subconscious programming running, right? If it's your subconscious programming, you're gonna know because you're operating out of the past. Intuition operates out of the present and the future, not necessarily out of the past. And if it operates out of the past, it's because you're bringing a lesson or wisdom into the present, not because there is a negativity associated to it. Now, there is a lot of theory. Let me give you a real life example. I've told you over and over that honestly, since 10 years ago, when I finished my chemical engineering degree, I realized that I was really passionate about the mental and emotional aspects of the human brain. And I really wanted to commit to helping myself and others gain clarity in this path so they can operate at their highest potential, right? I had started in my first corporate job. And after 1 year, I realized that I wasn't aligning to it and it wasn't something that I wanted to move towards. It just didn't feel right. Now, because that 1 year for me wasn't that positive, I started projecting a lot of negativity into the present, thinking that things were not going to go right, and started projecting a lot of negativity into the future. Thinking, oh my God, if I stay here, I'm going to be unhappy forever. If I stay here, I don't have freedom. I don't have opportunity. So a lot of things that because I had experience in the past, I was projecting into the future. So there was one day that I was working night shift because I was a process engineer. I had to work a lot of hours. It was just a crazy time too. And my body and my mind were in a lot of stress. And honestly, most of it is because I wasn't enjoying what I was doing at all. So there was a day where my stress was on high. I ended up having a panic attack, which I didn't know what a panic attack was until that moment. And after that panic attack, I just came into the realization that I didn't want to be there anymore. I was like, okay, I'm going to quit. I'm going to go, like, I'm done with this. Now, this decision I was making out of pain. I was making out of fear. I was making out of scarcity. When that happened, that panic attack, I didn't think of the possibilities that I could actually move to another position. I could actually make a shift to move into an organization within the corporation. I was so driven by the intensity of that moment and by the fear of staying where I was that I decided I wanted to quit that job without a plan, without a direction to move forward. I was operating out of baggage. So I went the next day into work after that panic attack and I was like, okay, I'm quitting, I'm gone. And of course, my supervisor was like, no. Like, let's talk about it. There are options. You can stay. Let's find something that makes you happier. Let's find something that makes you more fulfilled. When you're making decisions out of baggage, like the one I was making out of fear, usually things don't work out in your favor like they didn't on me because I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a vision. I didn't have a compelling future that I was walking towards. I was just hitting myself against the wall. And just like that, I realized when my supervisor told me at that moment that there were more possibilities even within the company. So I had a panic attack. We had that conversation. I ended up taking 2 months leave of absence because I'm like, okay, if I'm not quitting, I need a break because I'm done with this environment, with this job, etc. I mean, I didn't know better, right? People are always doing the best they can with the resources they had. And I was like, I'm done. I need to take a break. I came back from the break, from the leave of absence. And I remember being so confident, grounded, and just hopeful that things were going to work out for me. And now that I had released that baggage and I had a blank canvas, I started realizing that there were a lot of possibilities within this corporation. And even though I wasn't familiar with all of the organizations and all the positions, I made a huge effort just to start reaching out to different people, interviewing them. And an organization that I really connected to was supply chain, because supply chain was all about people development, all about interacting with suppliers, all about negotiating. And I just really connected to that. Fast forward, I ended up transitioning into the supply chain organization after 6 months, and I did amazingly, okay? I was suffering in the other position. I loved supply chain. I loved the environment. I loved my job. I loved what I was doing. And I'm telling you all of this to illustrate that even in the worst moments of our lives, there is always a possibility that if we are operating out of baggage, we are not seeing. Because baggage operates out of fear and scarcity, right? And sometimes you just need to let go of that baggage in order to see clearly what is in front of you. And one of the techniques that I've used to release my baggage and help my clients release theirs, it's called mental and emotional release. It's one that I utilize in my one-on-one coaching, and I also cover it in my digital course, Discover Your Purpose program. If this is something that interests you, as always in the notes, you can schedule a free clarity call and let's talk about it. I mean, I love helping people, and hopefully I get to help you if this is something that resonates with you. So that is baggage, right? Now, last year, as you may know, I transitioned from my 9 years corporate career. 10 years ago, I didn't transition. I was just like experimenting, gaining clarity. I tried living corporate, but at that moment, of course, it wasn't the wisest idea. Why? Because I was operating out of fear. And thank God I ended up staying because I wasn't ready. I can tell you right now. More time passed and I continued gaining clarity and experimenting with what I loved. I started my side coaching business. I really built a stronger foundation. And last year, someone that was so close to me, my uncle, he was the one who introduced me to neuro-linguistic programming, meditation, everything that I know. And he introduced me to this back in 2012. He passed away from cancer. And to me, that was such a big shock that made me realize we only have this life. We only have the reality that we create, and we don't know when our last day will be. I know this may sound sad, but it is the reality. And I want you to even start operating out of that mindset. I think about it all the time. And fortunately, I'm in a place where sometimes I say to myself, if I die tomorrow or in 1 week, I'm going to be very happy that I was pushing the boundaries and doing something that I truly believe in. So my uncle passes away. I was like, what is going on? Like in shock for 3 weeks. And I remember after that, I started to heal. And I was walking with my husband and I don't know, just something. It was this download from this universal intelligence or something that, I don't know, just communicated, okay, now is the time. And it just felt so right and so light. And it came out of this realization that, I had established this foundation already in my side coaching business. I truly had found something that I was passionate about, which is coaching, teaching, speaking. And I just immediately knew out of love and out of abundance that transitioning from corporate to entrepreneurship last year was the right decision for me. And I also knew, because the corporate job that I was in, consulting, it was one that I really liked. It was one that I really enjoyed. The people that I was working with, oh my God, amazing. The mentorship that I was receiving, the opportunities, they were just, I'm really grateful for all of those. And I was really happy where I was. I wasn't making this decision because I hated my job, because I hated the people I was working on, nothing like that. I was making this decision because it felt right, because I realized that we have only this life. Why not make bold decisions once you have the foundation? Because, like I told you, few years back, I wasn't ready at all. But once you have that foundation and you have that clarity and you have that direction and you have been practicing, there is a moment where you gotta take that leap of faith. And you know that the moment has arrived because your intuition is telling you, in a loving way, this is it. In a healing way, this is it. And that's what happened last year. So if you see the two scenarios, they feel very different. One of them was crisis. It felt intense. I felt a lot of fear, a lot of anger, a lot of I'm done with this. And this one felt like, oh my God, I'm actually moving from a great opportunity to one that is even greater. And it felt light, aligned, and with a lot of abundance. That's how you know when it's baggage and when it's intuition. I hope this episode helped you so much, because I think differentiating between these two, and it takes practice, okay? I'm not gonna lie, it takes awareness, it takes practice, but differentiating between these two is gonna be life-changing. How you know is starting to raise the awareness of your thoughts, beliefs. Are you transporting yourself into the past, or are you in the present just making those decisions that feel right? I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please share with a friend, a family member. Let's continue to spread the love of self-empowerment and personal development. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for your support. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening at With Clarity and Purpose. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. Sharing is caring. Please share with your friends and family so we can continue building an empowered community together. I'll see you next week.